This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a registered broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor, Hummingbird Wealth Management, LLC, and Cambridge are not affiliated. Now sit back and relax and enjoy another episode of Be the Hummingbird. Here's your host, Laura Johnson.
Hey there, and welcome to the latest edition of Be the Hummingbird, a podcast where we strive to inspire, motivate, and educate. And to be honest with you, have a little bit of fun while we're doing it, right? So what are we inspiring you, motivating, and educating you to do? It's really to just improve your life, whatever is going on in your life that you need some guidance or a push, or just to hear that you're not the only one going through whatever it is that you're going through. So it's not just about financial planning, even though we are a financial planning and investment management firm. That's where I'm at. The whole premise behind this podcast is just to share, whether it's my story or a guest story or a client story or whatever it might be. So we are in the month of June. Oh, June. It is the month of I-dos and diplomas, throwing the caps and dreams for some of us anyway, because some of us don't like the beach, but dreams of that perfect beach getaway. So while your Instagram or whatever it might be is glowing with wedding selfies and grad cap tossers, the bank account might be silently going, I can't take it anymore. Today's episode is all about navigating June's big events without breaking your budget or your sanity. So let's all grab a nice coffee and dive in. So wedding season, whether you're the one walking down the aisle or just walking into 5 different receptions this month, and I know a lot of us have done that, weddings can be wonderful and wildly expensive. So let's start with you being the gift giver. You don't have to drop $200 on every single registry of every single wedding. And for that matter, anything, baby shower, whatever it might be. You don't have to do that. So I find a good rule of thumb. Now, these are my rules of thumbs. You might feel like you could spend a little bit more or you need to spend a little bit less. But having your own personal rule of thumb is good. So my rule of thumb is if it's a close friend or a family member, no more than $100 to $150. And it really depends, to be quite honest with you, how much I like you, Mr. Family Member. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes my friends get more than my family. So now if they're just an acquaintance or a coworker, like somebody at the gym maybe invited me to their wedding, I might be able to give them $50 to $75, or a coworker, same thing. And then if it's a group gift, goodness gracious, these are the best gifts ever because you guys can all pool your money together and get something really nice and something really meaningful. Now, that doesn't mean you have to spend money. Sometimes we don't have the money to spend, so we might get creative and give more of a personalized, budget-friendly gift. Things like maybe framed wedding vows. Now, of course, that might require you knowing their vows, and that might be a little stalkerish if you know their vows ahead of the wedding and give it to them as a gift. But that's an idea. Another idea might be, and I love this one, is some kind of recipe box. And I know people don't use recipe boxes anymore, but it's still cool to have one that maybe has your favorite recipes for certain things. And they're like, look at this, is so cool. I finally got, grandma's pecan pie recipe. So that'd be really cool. Or maybe a shared memory scrapbook. Maybe you start a scrapbook for them that they can continue. Thoughtful does not have to be costly. Now, if you're the one getting married, congratulations. Very good. So here's my top financial advice. Before you get married, this is so important. It's very interesting to me that before you get married, a lot of people don't do this. Have a conversation about money. Have a conversation about what kind of debt do you have, dear? Are you saving? Do you have any money in the bank for emergency? What's your credit score look like? And I know these are like, but I'm in love. Yeah, but you're going to be in debt if you don't have these questions, or you're going to have a lot of fights. And it's better to have an open communication, because when you get married, you're not 2 individuals anymore. You are one. And you want to make sure that whatever you're inheriting from them or whatever they're inheriting from you from a financial standpoint, it's all out there on the table. Second thing I'm going to say to you is when you go into a wedding, remember, and you're planning the wedding, whether you have an exorbitant $100,000 wedding or you go to the justice of the peace, when you're done, you're still married. So you have to ask yourself, is this worth the $100,000 investment? Or could I just go to the justice of peace or something in between? But you want to make sure that what you're going to build a memory here. So I get it. You want to build that memory. But can that memory still be as memorable for $20,000, not $100,000, or $30,000 and not $100,000? And a lot of people might be listening to me. Oh, nobody spends $100,000 on a wedding. Yeah, they do. I've seen it. And if you've got the money to do that, more power to you. If I was getting married and my parents spent $100,000 on a wedding, I'd be like, no, 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 no. Give me the $100,000 and I'll invest it in a new house or pay off debts or a combination of all those things. So just be cognizant of, in the end, no matter what you do and how elaborate it might be, you're still married at the end of the day, no matter how beautiful it is. The third thing, this one's hard for a lot of people, but consider a prenup. Unfortunately, we live in a world where divorce is very commonplace in marriage. 51% of marriages end in divorce. Second marriages is even higher. Third marriages is even higher than that. And so you want to make sure that, yes, I love you. Yes, I want this to be till death do us part. However, I also want to protect myself. And prenup is not about, it is awkward, but it's not about the fact that you don't love each other. It's just more a financial planning tool. And you just need to approach it from that perspective. It's not a lack of trust. So one of the things I would encourage you to do is open a wedding expense account early and automate your savings for that wedding. And you will thank yourself when the florist bill hits. Trust me. So June is also graduation central, whether it's high school or college or pre-K, because yes, those caps and gowns are tiny and adorable. This is a big deal. So for those of you who are attending graduations and giving gifts, I would consider cash, but maybe with a twist. So maybe one of the things you do is help the person who's graduating open a Roth IRA with a small contribution. So you're encouraging them to save. Maybe because if they're younger and graduating from pre-K, you set up a 529 college savings plan and help to save for their future education. Or even better, give them a personal finance book with a little cash tucked inside. Now, if you are one of those awesome graduates that's worked your tail off to get to this point, you're going to get that first paycheck. It is going to be thrilling until taxes take a bite. So create a simple budget for yourself. Make sure that you're understanding your paycheck, understanding the impact of the taxes. If you have a 401k, contribute to that. But once you've figured all that out, creating a simple budget, and I like the 50-30-20 budget. So 50% of your paycheck should go towards what you need. You need a roof over your head, food on your table, clothes on your back, right? 30% of what your budget should go to is towards what you want. Maybe I want to buy a new car. Maybe I want to get my hair done, although I kind of see that as a need. I need to get my hair done because it gets gray. But I want to get my hair done every other month. Or I want to get my nails done every 4 weeks. Those are wants. So 30% of your paycheck should go towards that. And 20% of your paycheck should go towards some kind of savings and or debt repayment. So if you're fortunate enough to not have a lot of debt, then 20% of your paycheck should go towards a combination of savings, whether it be emergency savings, retirement savings, or rainy day fund, or whatever it might be that you're savings towards. But that 20% should be your target. Now, if you do have debt, you do want to save a little bit just to make sure that you still have some, but a lot of your focus on that 20% should be going towards paying down your debt. So I mentioned this a million times in all of my podcasts, and you guys probably know what I'm about to say, but emergency fund. When you're first getting started out, gosh, that emergency fund is so, so vitally important. And if you're just getting started out, a $500 to $1,000 emergency fund is fine. That's going to cover things like if your hot water heater blows, or like right now I need a new washing machine. I think I've said that already in another podcast, and I'm just crutching it along. But at some point I'm going to have to buy a new washing machine. So having that $500 to $1,000 is going to cover many of those small emergencies. Eventually, you're going to want a 3 to 6 month emergency savings, and setting up an automatic savings plan to go into something like that will help you get to that goal much faster. Now, parents that are listening to this right now, graduation is so emotional, but it's also a good time to teach your graduate financial independence. Make sure you sit down, and I wouldn't wait till graduation, to be honest with you, to do this. You've got plenty of opportunities until they, before they reach that, magical age of 18, 22, whatever it might be, to sit down and teach them money lessons. And there are plenty of tools out there for you to be able to share that with them, but sharing your own personal experiences is probably one of the biggest educators. All right, it is now time to talk about sun and sand and savings. All right, anybody who knows me, man, I'm a beach girl. I'm a water girl. I don't know that I'm a beach girl. I'm more of a water girl. I'm a Pisces, so go figure. Anytime I'm around water, I'm like, I'm at my calm. So anyway, we're talking about family vacations, right? So family vacations can be magical, or they can be huge budget busters. Every year I try to do something really special with my kids. I've been spending my lifetime with them trying to build memories, because it's more about the memories than it is about the things. So when they were younger, we did a lot of trips camping. When I was young, my parents took me on a 6-week trip cross country in an Ford Econoline van with a pop-up trailer behind it. And my mom budgeted and planned. So when we were done, we had a great memory, and she had no debt to look for it. So I've learned that through my raising of my children. And I'm in a fortunate position that every year I'm able to take my kids somewhere. Sometimes it's someplace small, and sometimes it's someplace big. But those some places big come with a lot of planning. We develop a budget. And one of the things we do is we work together on how can we save money, and I go on a payment plan so that when I'm at the vacation, my money's already spent, and we already know what we've spent. It's all done. So that's where I'm going to say to you, this is how you travel smart. Budget first, then plan. And unfortunately, a lot of people go, oh, well, I want to go to Hawaii. It's like, okay, you want to go to Hawaii? How much do you want to spend? Because going to Hawaii, depending on if it's 2 of you or 4 of you or 5 of you, is a very expensive trip. And so if you say, well, I have a budget of $10,000, then you kind of back into, well, can I go to Hawaii? What kind of time frame is that giving me? What kind of hotels? What kind of excursions? Those types of things. But you definitely want to decide what you can spend before you start booking. You want to use travel rewards. There's a lot of them out there, airline rewards, hotel rewards. I'm a junkie for Marriott and Southwest myself. But you don't want to let the free things you're getting, whether it be your flight or your hotel or your car, convince you to spend double on the other things that are a part of your vacation. You still want to make sure that you maintain some level of a budget for that trip. And there's a lot of apps out there. I don't have personal experience with these, but there's apps like Hopper and Google Flights that help you to find the best deals. I will caution you, though, because sometimes these apps will seem like they're a really good deal, but then you go to the airline or you go to the hotel website themselves and realize, wait a second, I could get just as good, if not better, a deal if I go directly to them. So just make sure you're not relying heavily on these apps. Make sure you're doing all of your research. Now, if you want to save even more, I kind of mentioned this before with my own trips. Prepay for the experience before, so you can avoid those sneaky in the moment, expenses that you're like, whoa, I didn't realize this was going to happen. So I'm going to use a cruise as an example. Most of the time, people don't go on a cruise tomorrow, right? You're going to be like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to go on a cruise this fall, or I want to go on a cruise, next year in the spring. All cruise lines will take a payment plan. So if you know this cruise is going to cost you $3,000, you can go on a payment plan so that by the time you step foot on that ship, you already know that cruise is paid for. Your excursions, same thing. Your tips, you can prepay on a cruise. Your drink package, you can prepay on the cruise. So all of those things you can do. And any vacation you do, you should be able to do that. You should be able to go on some kind of payment plan. Work with a travel agent. They'll be able to help you out with those. Now, this one is cool. So I mentioned the 6-week cross-country trip that my parents took us on. So there were 4 of us. I'm one of 4 children. I'm the oldest. I'm the only girl, had 3 brothers. My mother was a licensed child care provider out of her home for over 30 years. My dad worked for the federal government for the Internal Revenue Service. I know, everybody stop booing. I mean, they made money, but our resources were limited. She had a budget for everything that we were going to do, and we were camping and all the excursions we were going to see, the gas, all that stuff, right? And even if we happened to break down, and we did happen to break down, she had a budget for that. She was really good. But what is hard to budget for is 4 kids and every stop you make and, oh, I want to do, and all those types of things. And we were young. I think I was 16 or 17 at the time. So, and all my brothers are younger than me. So prior to the trip, my mom and dad would give us chores to do around the house, whether it was cleaning the bathrooms, doing the laundry, cutting the grass, those types of things. And she would, quote unquote, pay us for each one of those chores. But instead of actually handing us the cash, she would keep track on a piece of paper of how much she paid us. And so then when we went on the trip, we each had a certain dollar amount we could spend on the things we wanted. So if we went into a store and saw a cute t-shirt and we wanted to buy that, that came out of our pre-budgeted money of what we earned doing our chores. And so I encourage parents to do this as well. Let your current kids earn money prior to the trip to be used for the trip, for those extra things that, are special. And it's actually kind of cool. I'm going to tell you, as a kid, to say, man, I'm spending my money. Like, this is really, now I was a little smarter about my money spending than I think my brothers were. They were like, oh, I want a candy bar. And I'm like, I can get a candy bar back home. I'm in the Grand Canyon. I want a t-shirt that said I went to the Grand Canyon, right? There are some people who are not going anywhere this year, and that's okay. You're going to have a staycation. You still want to have a staycation budget, because during on this staycation, you might hit some local parks, museums, or do some things at home. And trust me, your wallet, no matter what you're doing, is going to love it. So weddings, graduations, vacations. June is full of joy, but it's also a financial minefield if you're not prepared. Good news, just like any other time, a little planning goes a long way. So your challenge this week is to set a simple seasonal budget. Just list what you're spending on weddings, travel, or events this month, this summer, maybe this fall, because awareness is your superpower. Thank you for listening to Be the Hummingbird. I'm your host, Laura Johnson, and this podcast has been brought to you by Listen Frederick. And as always, it's not goodbye, it's see you later.
Live radio, local podcasts, the Frederick Podcast Network at listenfrederick.com.